In the ancient land of Greece, amidst the ruins of fallen Troy, a hero's story began. A story built with the strings of courage, cunning, and the undying spirit of hope. This is the story of Odysseus, the wily king of Ithaca, whose journey home became the stuff of legends. It all began on the day Paris of Troy kidnapped Helen, the wife of Spartan king Menelaus. Enraged, Menelaus summoned all of Greece's monarchs, including Odysseus, who had all promised to defend Helen's honor if anybody ever insulted her. Odysseus, on the other hand, attempted to avoid the pledge he had Menelaus by claiming to be insane. He ties a donkey and an ox to his plow, starts sowing his fields with salt. Agamemnon, seeing beyond Odyssey lies, instructed Palamedes to test him in order to confirm his madness. Palamedes devised a clever scheme to test Odysseus' sanity. He placed Telemachus, the infant son of Odysseus, in front of the plow's path. If Odysseus were truly mad, he would not be able to control his movements and would harm his own child. Odysseus approaches his son, he shifts the plow away from him, thus exposing his deception. Odysseus carries a resentment against Palamedes during the war for pulling him away from his home. Odysseus and other envoys of Agamemnon travel to Syros to recruit Achilles because of a prophecy that Troy could not be taken without him. Thetis, Achilles' mother, hearing about the recruitment plan, disguises his son as a woman in order to hide him from the recruiters, because an oracle had predicted that Achilles would either live a long, uneventful life or achieve everlasting glory while dying young. Odysseus cleverly discovers which among the women before him is Achilles. When the youth is the only one of them to show interest in examining the weapons concealed among an array of adornment gifts for the daughters of their host, Odysseus arranges further for the sounding of a battle horn, which prompts Achilles to clutch a weapon and demonstrate his trained disposition. With his disguise thwarted, he is exposed and supports Agamemnon's call to arms among the Hellenes. Odysseus is represented as one of the most significant Greek warriors during the Trojan War. 10 years had passed since the Greeks attacked Troy, and they were all still there, outside the strong walls, fighting with the locals, who proven themselves brave fighters. In the 10th year of the battle, Odysseus the Cunning, the most trusted advisor, and counselor of King Agamemnon, the leader of the Greeks, developed a plot to fool the Trojans. He intended to make them believe that the Greeks had lost the battle and had returned back to Greece. In the middle of the night, the Greeks left Troy, leaving behind a big wooden horse on wheels outside the gates of the city. When dawn came, the Trojans were surprised to see no Greek army encircling them, only a wooden horse.
Boy! Wake up! Stefan, Benny! Take a look at this! They've left us a gift! That is so nice of them. I think we misjudged them. I love horses.
They indeed believed that the Greeks had gone, and had left this horse as a gift to the gods, to grant them a nice sea trip. Thus, they rolled the wooden horse into their city and started partying to celebrate the victory of the battle. However, unknown to the Trojans, Odysseus had constructed a hollow into the wooden horse to hide there a few Greek warriors. This idea was the only option to gain entry into the city that had kept its fortifications for so many years. Now, once they were inside, Odysseus and his men went out of the fake horse and killed the unsuspecting guards. Then they opened the city gates and enabled the entire Greek army, who were hiding some kilometers away, to enter the city. Thus, thanks to the strategy of Odysseus, the Greeks won the Trojan War. With the fight won, Odysseus and his men set off for their homeland, Ithaca. The journey home for Odysseus and his fellows would be lengthy and full of adventures. Their eyes would see all the odd of the world, and Odysseus would come home with more memories and experiences than any other person in the world. Homebound from Troy, after a raid on Ismarus in the region of the Cyclades, he and his 12 ships are driven off course by storms. They visit the resentful Lotus Eaters and are captured by the Cyclops Polyphemus while visiting his island. After Polyphemus consumes several of his men, he and Odysseus have a discussion, and Odysseus tells Polyphemus his name is Udes, nobody. Odysseus takes a barrel of wine, and the Cyclops consumes it, falling asleep. Odysseus and his soldiers take a wooden stake, ignite it with the remaining wine, and blind him. While they escape, Polyphemus cries in agony, and the other Cyclopes ask him what is wrong. Polyphemus cries, "Nobody has blinded me." And the other Cyclopes believe he has gone mad. Odysseus and his crew escape, but Odysseus rashly reveals his true identity, and Polyphemus prays to Poseidon, his father, to take revenge. They remain with Aeolus, the master of the winds, who gives Odysseus a leather bag containing all the winds, except the west wind, a gift that should have ensured a safe return home. However, the sailors foolishly open the bag while Odysseus sleeps, assuming that it contains gold. All of the winds fly out, and the ensuing storm drives the ships back the way they had come, just as Ithaca comes into sight. After pleading in vain with Aeolus to aid them again, they re-embark and face the cannibalistic Laestrygonians. Odysseus' ship is the only one to escape. He sails on and visits the witch goddess Circe. She converts half of his warriors into swine after giving them cheese and wine. Hermes warns Odysseus about Circe and provides him a medication called moly, which resists Circe's magic. Circe, being captivated to Odysseus' resistance, falls in love with him and releases his soldiers. Odysseus and his men remain with her on the island for 1 year, while they feast and drink. Finally, Odysseus' men urge him to leave for Ithaca. Guided by Circe's instructions, Odysseus and his crew cross the ocean and reach a harbor at the western tip of the globe, where Odysseus sacrifices to the dead and summons the spirit of the old prophet Tiresias for advice. Next, Odysseus sees the soul of his own mother, who had died of grief during his lengthy absence. From her, he learns for the first time news of his own household, endangered by the greed of Penelope's suitors. Odysseus also talks to his fallen army mates and the mortal shade of Heracles. Odysseus and his crew return to Circe's island, and she advises them on the next phases of the journey. They skirt the country of the Sirens, pass between the six-headed monster Scylla and the vortex Charybdis, where they row directly between the two. However, Scylla drags the boat towards her by snatching the oars and eats 6 men. They land on the island of Thrinacia. There, Odysseus' men reject the warnings of Tiresias and Circe and chase down the sacred cattle of the sun god Helios. Helios informs Zeus what happened and demands Odysseus' soldiers be punished, or else he will steal the sun and shine it in the underworld. Zeus meets Helios' desires by producing a shipwreck during a rainstorm in which everyone but Odysseus drown. He washes ashore on the island of Ogygia, where Calypso compels him to remain as her lover for 7 years. He finally flees when Hermes tells Calypso to Odysseus. Odysseus is shipwrecked and befriended by the Phaeacians. After he tells them his story, the Phaeacians, led by King Alcinous, agree to help Odysseus travel home. They bring him at night, while he is sound sleeping, to a secluded harbor on Ithaca. He finds his way to the hut of one of his own former slaves, the swineherd Eumaeus, and also meets up with Telemachus returning from Sparta. Athena disguises Odysseus as a wandering beggar to understand how things stand in his family. Odysseus, disguised, returns after 20 years, and only his trusty dog, Argos, recognizes him. Penelope declares in her long conversation with the disguised hero that whomever can string Odysseus' stiff bow and shoot an arrow through 12 axe shafts will have her hand. In the words of Bernard Knox, for the plot of the Odyssey, of course, her decision is the turning point, the move that makes possible the long-predicted triumph of the returning hero. Euryclea, the housekeeper, finds Odysseus' identity when washing his feet and notices an old scar he suffered while hunting boars. Odysseus vows her to secrecy and threatens to murder her if she reveals anything. When the contest for the bow begins, none of the suitors can string the bow. After all of the suitors have given up, the disguised Odysseus requests to join. Though the suitors initially refuse, Penelope intervenes and enables the stranger, a disguised Odysseus, to partake. Odysseus effortlessly stringed his bow and won the competition. After that, he slaughters the suitors, assisted by Telemachus and two of Odysseus' attendants, Eumaeus the swineherd and Philoetius the cowherd. Odysseus orders the service ladies who slept with the suitors to clean up the corpses, and then hangs them in horror. He informs Telemachus that he will restock his supplies by invading surrounding islands. Odysseus has now revealed himself in all his glory. However, Penelope is skeptical that her husband has truly returned. She fears that it is a god in disguise, as in the story of Alcmene, mother of Heracles, and tests him by ordering her servant Euryclea to move the bed in their wedding chamber. Odysseus contends that this is impossible because he created the bed and knows that one of its legs is a growing olive tree. Penelope finally accepts him as her spouse, emphasizing their like-mindedness. However, Odysseus' journey did not stop here. Prophet Tiresias had warned him that once he had reasserted his authority as king of Ithaca, he should proceed inland with the oar of a ship. Indeed, after a few years, Odysseus anointed Telemachus king of Ithaca and abandoned him and his wife Penelope to travel the opposite way. He wandered around for many days with the oar in hand, looking for individuals who had no idea what it was, but everyone recognized it as an oar. One day, far inland, opposite the shores of Ithaca, Odysseus came across people who had never seen the sea and hence had no idea what an oar was. There, Odysseus completed his life journey and married a local princess. He lived among these people for many years before dying here, away from the sea, his family, and his beloved Ithaca. And so, ends Odysseus' journey, a story of adventure, betrayal, and the eternal force of the human spirit. Through difficulties and tribulations, he faced the wrath of gods and the dangers of the sea, his trip demonstrating the resilience of the human soul.